The WWE Championship is more than just a title. It's a symbol of excellence, a key element of WWE storytelling, and a piece of wrestling history. Its legacy is defined by the legends who have held it, the matches fought for it, and its impact on wrestling and pop culture. Today I asked ChatGPT who they think, or what it thinks, is the top 10 WWE champions of all time. I told it to give me a list based on the impact that each wrestler had while holding the title, the amount of title reigns that they've had in their career, and how long they've held said title. I tried doing WWE only. I kind of looked at the names, and I think there's one, let me see. There's one that could be argued that is not totally WWE. But yeah, this is not my list. This is ChatGPT's. So this is not my own personal opinion. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, tell me what you thought of the list, if you agree, disagree, your own personal opinions, or even just give me any feedback on the video itself, because honestly, this is kind of out of my comfort zone. I've tried doing videos before in the past. It's not really for me, but I'm going to try it out again with something I'm passionate about, wrestling. But yeah, let's get into the list. All right, number 10 on this list from ChatGPT with 4 title reigns. They got Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid. It says Michaels' reigns are noted for their exceptional matches and their contributions to WWE's artistic and technical standards, which I would agree with. His role in the shaping the new generation era is his memorable performances during his reigns were crucial in defining the company's direction. Yeah, I would agree with all that. Shawn Michaels, one of the greatest of all time. He's my GOAT, my favorite. I don't know if I would have him higher on this list. I feel like 10 is kind of appropriate. If it's greatest of all time, I would have him higher. But if it's strictly WWE champion, then I think 10 is appropriate for Shawn Michaels. At number 9, with 14 WWE title reigns, they got the Viper, Randy Orton. It says Orton's reigns have been influential in multiple eras, from the rise of Evolution to his role in the current roster. His impact includes a blend of strong storytelling and consistent performance, contributing significantly to various storylines. Honestly, I thought Randy Orton would be higher. I think personally I would bring him up a few. I think if it's not John Cena, who's coming back at the end of this year doing his whole retirement tour, I think Randy Orton could be the one to break or tie Ric Flair's record. I think they want to have one of two of their faces of the last 2 decades break the record and have be in the history books instead of Ric Flair, who most of his title reigns have not even been in WWE. They're WCW, but they're kind of recognized as WWE because, that was my Xbox. You might see Ric Flair on this list. We'll get to that. But number 9, Randy Orton. And number 8, with 5 title reigns, they got Bret the Hitman Hart. ChatGPT says Hart's reigns were notable for their high-quality matches and technical wrestling. His championship reigns during the 1990s were essential in showcasing wrestling as a serious sport and contributing to the evolution of in-ring storytelling. Bret Hart is not one of my favorites. I don't dislike him at all. I think he's great. I've actually gone back and watched some Monday Night Raws from the early 90s and the later 90s, more starting to get into the Attitude Era. But from, I think it was 1993, I was watching some of the Raws, and Bret Hart was the top guy. I watched the awful WrestleMania, I think it was 8 or 9, with where he fought Yokozuna, losing to Yokozuna, Hulk Hogan marching down, demanding a title match, and then winning. Very stupid. But Bret Hart has put on some crazy matches over the years, like his matches with Stone Cold, his brother Owen Hart at WrestleMania 10, which he later fought Yokozuna for, not at the same WrestleMania, but he fought him for the title in the main event, winning after losing to his brother Bret. But I would say he's one of the most consistent workers the WWE, WWF has had, and I think he's probably top 5, for WWE at least, top 5 technicians and in-ring workers. So ChatGPT has Bret Hart at number 8. I think I agree. And now, even though this is way before my time, ChatGPT says they have Bruno Sammartino at number 7 with 2 title reigns. It says Sammartino's long reign set the standard for what it means to be WWE champion. His dominance and drawing power in the 1960s and 1970s were crucial for WWE's early success in establishing the championship's prestige. I totally get it, and I totally agree, because back then you got to think 60s, 70s, where this was seen as a lot more real, I guess. I mean, I think I'm not going to get into that, but they were looking at it like it's some real shit, like it's a real sport. So I think you want to have a real top guy like Bruno Sammartino who can carry that legacy and build the prestige of the title, because you got the fans, and one, it's an attraction. They're going to want to see him defend it. You know, they don't know who and who won't beat him for it. And I believe he held the title for, like, I think 4,000 something days, which is like, I don't even know how many years. Is it 7 years? Is that 4? I don't even know. I have to do the math. I mean, I'll put it up on the screen how many years it was. But, you know, I think 7 is fair. Where it was all the way back in the 60s and 70s, it was nothing like what WWE is now, or even in the 90s. So honestly, I think 7 is a fair spot for Bruno Sammartino. Sitting at 14 title reigns, ChatGPT has Triple H, the cerebral assassin, the Game, at number 6. Triple H's impact includes a mix of in-ring performance and backstage influence. His reigns helped define that ruthless aggression era, and his role in evolving WWE's talent roster and programming made him a central figure in WWE's development. This is another one, even though I feel like he's a little more associated with the World Heavyweight Championship, I feel like 6 is appropriate, but I think you could even bring him up to 5. Honestly, so I started watching wrestling in very late 2015, so the only, I'm well educated on what has come before that, but the only thing I really got to witness was Triple H's not good reign in 2016 when he won the Royal Rumble. But like I said, he is a lot more known for his World Heavyweight title reigns. Though it does include the World Heavyweight title probably in this, it does. I think 6 is a fair rating just for his impact alone and his being so dominant in multiple decades. Number 5, with 10 title reigns, ChatGPT has The Rock. The Rock's reigns helped elevate WWE's profile globally. His charisma, crossover appeal, and memorable feuds contributed significantly to WWE's success during the late 90s and the early 2000s, and he remains one of the biggest stars in wrestling history. I totally agree. He shaped a whole era, short-lived but peak era of wrestling, the ruthless aggression era along Stone Cold. Even if he wasn't always seen as the number one, he was still, you know, he got there sometimes, but he wasn't the guy. But he was, but he wasn't. But he still had so much impact on that era. Even in the early 2010s, when he was feuding against John Cena and CM Punk beating him for the title, even though he was a part-timer and people probably wanted to see Punk more, you can't deny that The Rock, the final boss, brought eyes to WWE programming, the WrestleManias that he main evented with John, and even literally this year, him returning as the final boss, facing Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Do you think he'll be back? I do. Will it be for the WWE Championship? Will he be winning the WWE Championship? I think it's a very big chance that he could be the one that dethrones Cody Rhodes for the title. It's just a matter of when he comes back. But I do think number 5 is a very fair spot for The Rock, just for the amount of reigns he had and just how big of an impact he made on the company with those reigns. At number 4, ChatGPT has the Rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin, with 6 title reigns. I don't agree with this. I think it's not a bad rating. It's not a bad rating. I think he could have been in the top 3, at least seeing who is in the top 3. And seeing that I wanted this to be only a WWE list. You can kind of guess who it is, but I think based on this list and who is in the top 3, that Stone Cold could have been in the top 3. But 4 is a good rating. It says Austin's reigns during the Attitude Era were critical in WWE's success during WCW in the Monday Night Wars. His rebellious persona and storylines revolutionized wrestling entertainment and resonated deeply with fans. I think in that era, I think they needed something new, something fresh, something the fans could really relate with and just gravitate to. And I think Stone Cold and his attitude that he did bring to the company, shaping literally the Attitude Era, was so important to the company. And his match with Bret Hart, who we talked about earlier, bringing him from a hot commodity to an absolute star. He's talked about as one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest of all time. Now, may that be for his title reigns? Yes and no. But I do think 4 is a relatively good rating. But like I said, based on the list and who is in it, I think he could make a case for 3. But we'll take number 4. And at number 3, we got Hulkamania, the Hulkamaniac, Hulk Hogan, with 6 title reigns as well, just like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, whether you like him or don't, you probably don't. You can't deny, and we can't run away from the fact that this man put this company on his back when they needed it the most. He made it mainstream. He brought in names, he brought in eyeballs that were really crucial to the company at the time, and he was just an icon, a pop culture icon, and you weren't taking the title off of him. He had a reign that I believe was, just over Roman Reigns, over 1,000 days, get into the 2000s. You weren't touching this man back then. 6 title reigns, and I know all of those were probably relatively lengthy. He fought everyone. If you were a bad guy, especially against the U.S., that kind of deal back then, you were being taken down by the Hulkster. Like I said, if you don't like him, whether you do or don't, you can't deny that this guy is one of the greatest of all time. He's a Mount Rushmore wrestler, and I think number 3 is definitely justified for Hulk Hogan. At number 2, this is the person who I was a little upset with being here, at least this high. If you wanted to have him lower down, that's totally fine, totally different. But with 16 title reigns, tied for the most, but made the record. But ChatGPT says WWE recognized. I understand. Ric Flair, the Nature Boy. It says Flair's numerous reigns and his style of wrestling, combined with his charismatic persona, greatly influenced the industry. His title reigns in WWE, combined with his success in other promotions, made him a defining figure in professional wrestling. Yeah, so especially for that time, 70s, 80s, Flair, he was the guy, whether it's WWE or not. This guy, his schedule as champion, I don't think anybody could do a schedule like his. So for that, I do respect him. But where most of those titles came out kind of technically outside of WWE, in WCW, I have a hard time, finding the justification for him being number 2. But I do think the amount of title reigns and the importance and impact that Ric Flair brought, I guess number 2 is not a bad rating at all. But I think he should have been a little lower. But I do respect Rick for all the work he put in and just being one of the most iconic and recognizable, figures in WWE ever. That's number 2. Let's get into number 1. And at number 1, who could have guessed? John Cena with also 16 title reigns. ChatGPT says Cena's reigns helped define the modern era of WWE. His consistent presence as the face of the company, numerous memorable feuds, and his role in elevating younger talent make him highly impactful. His reigns also span across various eras, from the rise of the PG era to the more recent periods. Now, I don't totally agree with the elevating younger talent. To an extent, he wasn't always doing that. If you were given the title and they weren't really feeling it, it was going right back to Cena. Do I think the number of his reigns is inflated? Maybe a little, but it's justified. It's John Cena. This is the guy who I think is going to be breaking the record. Like I talked about earlier with Randy Orton. If it's not him, probably will be too. But I think John Cena's doing it first. I think they want him, the poster boy, the true baby face of the company for so long. I think they want him to be number 1 in the history books. His feuds with CM Punk, The Rock, Randy Orton, Edge, Batista, literally anybody you could think of. He's brought eyes to the title even when he's not champion. Just like back in 2021, now even though Roman Reigns was and is such a big star and the biggest star in the company right now, having him fight Cena, a returning Cena, was huge. So I think his presence alone warrants him being the champion. It's kind of hand in hand. You see the WWE title, you see John Cena, vice versa. I think John is going to be the number 1 in the history books in the next year. It's totally warranted and justified. And John Cena is one of the GOATs. He's not my GOAT, but another Mount Rushmore wrestler and the face of WWE. Honestly, it's kind of crazy. I was expecting The Undertaker to be on here, but if I ever do a video of the World Heavyweight Championship, I'm sure The Undertaker will be there. But yeah, number 1, we got John Cena. Yeah. Let me know what you thought about that list. Like I said, this was not my list. ChatGPT's. Honestly, I think it was a pretty good list, and it gave pretty good reasons and justifications for why they had each wrestler at each spot. Solid list. There's a couple things that I probably would have changed. Maybe some people I would have taken out. Some people I would have added. Some wrestlers I would have put up. Some I would have put down. But overall, I think this was a good list. Tell me what you think in the comments. What you agree. Who's your GOAT? Who's your favorite WWE champion? What's your favorite WWE championship match? WWE championship reign? Anything. And let me know what you want to see in the next video if you want me to do another one like this. I think I'm going to do a few ChatGPT videos just to get things started until I can get more kind of content rolling out. But yeah, that's basically it. I'm done. And yeah, later.